What's going on, everybody? Welcome to IndieQuest, a celebration of the indie and obscure. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Steve. How are you today?
Doing fantastic, buddy. I spent the weekend visiting some friends out of town, 4-hour drive away, and I just drove back into town a half an hour before sitting here and recording this podcast with you, so really glad to be sitting back down again after 4.5 hours of sitting in the car, but I'm excited to talk about video games, so that trumps all.
Yeah, hell yeah. Also joined by the captain himself, Captain Drachma. How are you doing?
Not as good as Steve. Mostly because when I went and got my mower today, both of my front tires were flat because it's cold out.
Oh.
So I couldn't do any leaves the easy way. I had to do I needed to do leaves like under the trees, like pine trees and stuff that I can't get my mower under, but I have like a lawn sweeper that I pull behind it that picks up the leaves nice and easy. Wasn't able to do that nice and easy today, so but yeah, that's another problem for this week, I suppose. This is the best that makes this the best part of my day, and that's what I like. So
Aww.
I didn't do anything today. I just sat on my ass and watched TV shows. I watched Pluribus, because that's the big hotness right now. But besides that, we have a guest today. TopSpot123 from the YouTube channel. TopSpot, we call him Top around here. The Topper fan himself. How are you doing, Top?
What is up, boys? Thank you so much for the invite. I'm excited to talk video games. You know what? They're really, really good, guys.
They're so good. It's almost concerning, if I'm being quite frank. It's too much.
Yeah, there's too many of them too. It's just, it feels like, oh my god, like it's just like, okay, I'm trying to catch up for the end of the year, and then I started Expedition 33, the famous indie game, and it's it's incredible. But I was just like, this game's like 30 hours, and I have like 8 more games I want to try to get to or more, by the end of the year. It's just crazy. So yeah.
That after its nomination for the Indie Game Awards, that conversation's been back. It's been a hot topic, man. So I think we need to go straight to the source. TopSpot, is Claire Obscure Expedition 33 an indie game? Yes or no? And
don't drag me into your quibbles.
That's not what I want to hear.
What about Shantae? That's another question. You never know.
Absolutely. Shantae is totally indie. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Claire Obscure seems to be indie to me.
Oh, gosh. All right, get this guy off the show.
I don't know how we regulate these things, but yeah.
So, since you mentioned GOTY Prep, Josh, I got curious today, as I am wont to do, and I pulled this decade's worth of GOTY winners, basically, for me. I pulled my top 10 for every year, and was curious to do a little statistics manipulation on it. So I checked what type of game was all 50 games from 2020 to now is each of my GOTY list makers, if you would call them that. And you'll be happy to see it'll show up on camera. This giant red piece that takes up over half of the pie chart, that's indie. So
sweet.
Indies are the clear dominant favorite in my top 10s. So all that to say, I guess I'm just trying to prove that I deserve to be on this podcast.
Are we voting people off now? What?
oh, sorry, Top. I didn't tell you today's your audition to replace Steve.
Oh my god,
we got to figure out which one.
They could play rock paper scissors, but yeah. Regarding your chart, Steve, I think it probably helps that there are an amount more indies that I can't even fathom than AAA. So that helps. You know what I mean? There's about 18,000 indies that come on every day or come out every day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Also, it's just a fun statistic. Country of origin for each of those indies. The number one country of origin, Canada. Canada pumps out all the highest quality indies, it would seem. Maybe it's because they have a program where their government actually funds the arts. And so
that is true.
Who would have thought that you put money behind the arts and your country produces good art? So
yeah, I have played some Canadian government-funded indies for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of indies, we're into the thing here. The thing we like to ask new people on the show. Also, actually, let's do, before I ask you the big question, where can they find you on the internet? What's your YouTube channel? I know you're not super active nowadays, but you should be. But
right.
Point them in the right direction.
mostly I kind of just stick to myself and in the little Polymedia Discord, greatest place on the internet. But I do have a legacy of content online. If you just do a Google search for TopSpot123 or a YouTube search for the same, that's where you're going to find my content, which was mostly concerning video game collections and tips and tricks for your game room and that kind of a thing. That was my little niche.
Classic. It's a classic channel. Yeah.
It was the best. Bring it back, man. I know that that's a lot to ask because it takes so long to produce videos and even longer to produce good videos like you did, but still.
I always got ideas, so maybe one day.
Keep stringing me along. Appreciate that.
But yeah, when we got somebody new on the show, just to go back to that, we always ask them the big question. What's your favorite indie game of all time?
You know what? I almost brought what I believe to be my favorite indie game of all time, but I didn't actually choose it to bring today. I feel like at least one of my favorite indie games of all time is Electhead. You guys talked about a few episodes back. Same developer. Yeah. God, that was such a good game. It was exactly everything it wanted and needed to be without dragging anything out, without adding filler. It was just a perfect, concise little puzzle game. I really enjoyed that one a lot.
I got to be honest. I half hoped that you would hit us with an indie that had nothing to do with puzzles, because I would have died. like some sort of 2v, like a fighter or something like. Right. But yes, that makes a lot of sense.
I do like Dive Kick a lot. If you've ever played that one, that one's great. It is a one-on-one fighter.
That one is fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's like one of the most puzzly of fighters, right? Because it's
I guess kind of. But they all are. It's just boiled down. That's all.
That's true. It's stripped to its barest elements. Also, Electhead not on the quest log. I feel like this is like the third time I've discovered this in the last 10 episodes. Why is Electhead not on the quest log?
It almost came today, but I chose something else.
He's like doing a quick thing. It's like, is the game that I played good enough to like be better than Electhead right now?
I'm like, well, I could pivot and bring it. I've played Electhead. You know, by the time my turn comes around, we'll see what I'm feeling. Is it an Electhead day or something else?
I know there's a game that all three of us own that we're both kind of just like doing the Office meme again with the finger point, you know. So yep. Yes. But anyway, I guess we can jump into the picks already. Why not? We're here. The thing we do on this show is we bring games to the ever-growing list of games, indie games, recommendations called the quest log. It's like over 125 games on the main quest. The side quest is there, you know. I know Steve's trying to build the numbers, but you know it is what it is. The main quest is basically a banger. It's one of those games where anybody's going to have a good time with it. It's like a 10 out of 10. It's amazing. You definitely need to play it. And then we got the side quest. Still a recommendation, but might be like an 8 out of 10. Might have a couple of like little like factors in it that might not make it quite that masterpiece, but it's still a great game. So we usually like to save the guest, you know, kind of in the meat of the sandwich of the show.
I don't want to go first.
So which one of us wants to go first today? I can go first.
I stare at Seth. I always try to read Seth where I'm like, does he want to go first or does he not want to go first?
I'm good to hold off. This time.
Cool.
I'm just waiting around, you know.
All right. Well, Josh volunteered. Josh, why don't you go ahead and take this?
Yeah.
There you go.
I feel like on guest episodes, I usually like to take the tail end up because I can be like, all right, let's wrap this up. You know, like let's not make our guests sit here too long. So anyway, I'm gonna go first today. I'm bringing a game that came out this year, last year. Who knows when it came out? It's called. No, I'm just kidding. It's not what it's called. It's called Ugly. Have you guys heard of Ugly?
I mean, the concept, yes.
The game,
no.
Way too much in high school, but I cannot wait to hear about the game.
So this came out 2 years ago. I heard about it from a YouTube channel called I Dream of Genie. I Dream of Indie Games. That YouTube channel. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. It was actually their game of the year that year. So I was like, oh, I'm putting it on the wish list. When it goes on sale, I'm going to try it out. And here I am, finally trying it out and bringing it to the show. So basically, the premise. Well, actually, let's start with the presentation of this one. I love the way it looks. It's very nice looking. It's hand-drawn. Everything's hand-drawn in it. And it has kind of like a dark, macabre look to it. It would be adjacent to like Tim Burton, I would say, if you were looking at it and looking at some screenshots now and looking at some gameplay. Also, the music in it, I'll start with that too. It is very bombastic, very orchestrated, very much in that same realm. You look at a screenshot, you're going to hear the music in your head already. You already know what it's going to sound like. It's going to sound very like a bunch of horns going off, a bunch of strings, a bunch of choruses, and people singing in the background, that type of vibe. Really good soundtrack in this game. The main premise of the game is you play this little dude. I don't know if they ever say his name, but he's this like little gremlin looking. He's the ugly guy for ugly, right? And he has a mirror mechanic and basically splits the screen in half. And there's a lot of puzzle mechanics with. Obviously, today we're probably going to bring a bunch of puzzle games because TopSpot is a big puzzle game fan. We didn't say that at the top. So I feel like we're all going to bring a puzzle game today. Pretty much. I think that's the plan. So you split the screen in half. You have like a ghostly like mirror image version of yourself. And there's a bunch of puzzle mechanics that are related to that. It starts off pretty basic. You have like 2 areas that you got to like get to, and you can kind of like transport yourself to the mirror version of yourself. So you're kind of teleporting yourself to the other side of the map. There's other items that are kind of like, so all the mirror elements in the game have kind of like a blue essence look to them. They're kind of like highlighted with blue. So there are objects that can be teleported to other sides of the map by pushing a button and hitting that mirror image of it to the other side of the map. And the puzzles get a little more complicated as you get a little deeper. And there's a story that kind of unfolds throughout the whole thing. And there's like, it's kind of not really obvious what the story is. You kind of have to piece it together. There's these little scribbles in the world where you put your main character in your mirror image version of yourself. And it kind of puts like this like kid's drawing version of like cutscenes on the screen. And you kind of see like this like kid that has a lot of emotional trauma, and it's a very dark story, I'll say. So what do you guys think just looking at this game so far?
So you mentioned the look.
Yeah.
And you said Tim Burton. To me, it almost looks like what if, and when I say Tim Burton but cartoon, I understand that Tim Burton has made cartoons. So that isn't a very good, but it's like, what if Tim Burton and Walt Disney decided to work together on a game? Like it's still like very it doesn't have like that shape, I don't think, of the typical Tim Burton, but it's
not
like,
the big eyes or anything.
Color. Yeah. But I don't know if you guys have ever like started just looking through games on PlayStation Store, search up indie and just get there's a lot of slop, you know. There's a lot of slop. When I see these screenshots, I'm like, oh, this is what sets, like, I guess the higher tier, higher level indie games apart from that kind of stuff, right? Because I think that this, it has similar qualities to like a lot of indie games, but just like the shading and the lighting is incredible. Like this is a very, very good looking indie game. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, visually striking for sure. Yeah.
Anyone that is like, based on Josh's description, if you're like, I'm still not fully grokking what's going on, even like the Steam screenshots, I feel like don't really give a good example of what that mirror mechanic is like. But if you do watch the like 1-minute trailer on Steam, it becomes more clear about how you can like place down this beam and then there's 2 mirror images side by side. To me, that the energy of that mechanic and like the look of the game, something about like the fluidity in motion and the like size of the character and the density in the environments, it really reminds me of Braid. I feel like Braid is.
I was waiting for your mouth to say Braid. I was like, you
were like nodding along, and he's like, I'm pulling it out.
If Braid was boiled down to one mechanic, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. So you can obviously tell there's a lot of inspiration from Braid. There's no time mechanics in this, but obviously that mirror mechanic is the main premise. And like even the platforming kind of feels a little bit like Braid. This is kind of, you could tell that the people that made this game are huge fans of that game. So that's definitely maybe put that in your memory banks there. Okay, so the mirror mechanic's pretty cool. You can either do it vertically or horizontally. So there is a lot of like, okay, let me break it down to this. You got like a main world, and then there are little doors that you got to unlock to go to like subworlds to like basically collect keys. And then as you're collecting the keys for these subworlds, and each subworld kind of has like a main mechanic that kind of takes that mirror idea and turns it on its head and adds something unique. So like there would be one, the main one will the first one's kind of just showing you like the basics, like, okay, this is how it works. You're doing the mirror mechanic. You're kind of get to point A to point B. Eventually you're doing like, you do the horizontal one, and you're kind of doing like a momentum, like portal type of mechanic where you're jumping down into the mirror thing, and you have to hit that mirror button over and over again to get yourself some momentum to get to higher platforms. And then there's also like another mechanic with like these like blue walls that the mirror version of yourself can interact with. So you got to have to like jump and move the mirror version of yourself up to the new area and then try to get to that key. And every puzzle in this is get the key, unlock a door. And then as you unlock the full sub area, there's a boss battle. And every boss battle is pretty unique. If you watch the trailer, you're going to see these crazy, huge, like highly animated boss fights with like just, it looks like a cartoon. Like this is like beautiful animation. Some of the best animation you're probably going to see in a game like this. And they're always like so epic and so difficult. Unneededly difficult sometimes, but they're fun at the same time. And then as you're making your way through this, and that's basically the whole premise. You just make it to the end of the game. You kind of discover the story of this kid and experience this kind of depressing story about abuse and trauma. So I would give a content warning for this one. There is a lot of like very dark subject matter. There's some content warning stuff at the beginning. There is some mention of suicide in this. There is some mention of, domestic abuse and things like that. So just be mindful of that if you do decide to play the game and that subject matter isn't something you're super interested in playing or experiencing. But I thought the story was pretty powerful and pretty, like, just raw. I thought this came from, like, hopefully not a real place, but it felt like they had a story they wanted to tell.
Yeah, you nailed a game for me. This is already on my wish list now.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where I was playing it. It has a little bit of like grit and grime to it. It feels very indie. There's little details to this game that might rub people the wrong way. Like if you look at some of the screenshots, some of the videos, it's very zoomed out. I feel like that's going to bother some people because the character's very tiny at times, and you kind of like play it on the biggest screen you have. I would say I would probably recommend that just because of that fact. I tried to play it on Steam Deck, and I maybe I'm getting old, but my eyes were like, I can see what's going on, but I'm straining right now, so
join the club, brother.
Yeah.
The visuals, the visuals are amazing, but to that point, because I'm watching some videos, Josh, and you said, when the screen backs out, there's so much going on. Like you can hardly there's just every little detail is so distinct that it almost makes it gives me like an Ultros thing a little bit. It's like, holy crap, there's a lot going on.
But you can hold the right bumper in, and it does zoom in like fully to the character. So if there's something like, okay, what's going on right here in this little square that I'm in, you can kind of hold that button down and kind of like try to get some comprehension of what you got to do next. And this is very much one of those, there's no like real fail state from it. It's mostly just tinkering until you figure out the puzzles. There's not like anything horrible. Even the boss fights. So let's just give the first big boss fight for example. It's like this blue sludge monster that's trying to take over you. It's kind of like the story is like he has paint that he like splashes on his family portraits in this like big castle or manor, and basically there's like a personification of that's attacking him, and it's this giant like paint monster that's chasing him. It's a chase sequence. If you fail it, you just start it over. No big deal. It's like maybe like 2 to 3 minutes long. It's not that hard. And that's probably the biggest fail state you're going to encounter with this game is like the boss fights. Occasionally you'll just have to, if you get hit, you have to restart the whole boss fight. but they're not like Silksong boss fights where they're like 12 minutes long. They're like maybe 2 to 3 minutes long at the most, So yeah.
Reminds me of like a Super Meat Boy boss fight.
Pretty much, yeah. It has that. I feel like this is very inspired by a lot of games, including Super Meat Boy. It's like, the first boss fight in Super Meat Boy, you're getting chased by, Mr. Fetus or Dr. Fetus and his giant machine like thing, and if you get hit, you just start at the beginning of the stage. Same energy as that, basically. So. But yeah, this game really blew me away. I really had a good time with it. There are some mechanics like that physics mechanic where you're jumping and trying to like get that momentum. That's a little finicky. There's a little bit of rough edges to this one, but I wanted to bring it and show it because I don't think this is a very popular game. It only has 359 Steam reviews, and I haven't heard many people talk about it. So I wanted to shine a light on it for sure today.
This is the type of game that we talk about all the time where it's like, wow, hiding in plain sight type of thing. I had never heard of this game, but I mean, what an incredible looking and based on what you've said, playing game. Like, really cool. And that's why hopefully people are coming to this show to find those obscure ones from time to time.
Yeah. The same publisher did the Turnip Boy games and Blue Fire and a bunch of very notable ones, but I sure haven't heard of this one.
Yeah, and what's cool about this game is it's kind of one of those ones where you beat the game and then you have a bunch of challenge rooms to get like a secret ending. So if you really love the puzzles, like the main game's probably, I think it took me about 5-6 hours to get through the main story. I'm not the best at puzzle games, so if you're really good at puzzle games, you probably can do it faster than me. I struggle to find solutions occasionally. I'll sit there and just stare at it. That's just how I do puzzles, and it takes me a little bit longer than some people that are like really proficient. But once you get to the end of it, basically there's something happens, and then you're like, okay, I'm still in this world, but the world state has changed, and there are more puzzles to do to get a secret ending. So that part for me was almost impossible. There are so many like super puzzle like puzzly ass puzzles in that area and that last like chapter of the game where you're just sitting there like, okay, I kind of know what I need to do, but I got to like actually do it. It's like actually putting the inputs in and getting this puzzle done is the challenge on these, and they're a little bit maybe a little above me, but I did manage to get to the second ending. And I will say the second ending's even darker than the first ending. So it's a very, very dark game and has a it's a very, very, very I'll say it's kind of depressing a little bit, but I'll say the puzzles and the story in it in general are very well done, and I think it's worth doing that second chapter if you're interested in the tougher puzzles of the game. So All right. I think that's all I have to say about this one. Any questions, any comments before I put it on the quest log today?
It looks like it's on mobile. Sorry, I missed if you mentioned. Do you know, is it on consoles too, or is it just PC and mobile?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I should have
I don't
that in front
think
of me.
I can. I don't think I see it on consoles, but it's hard to Google ugly. Even if you Google ugly game.
Yeah, I went to the developer's website, and it only links back to Steam, so I didn't even find the mobile port.
Yeah, there's at least Google Play. I don't know if it's on
right.
iPhone, but I found a link to Google Play.
Yeah, I think it's just Steam and mobile. Yeah. All right, so
nice.
Yep, that is it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this game a lot. I beat it last week, and I'm like, okay, you know how you get off a game and you're like, damn, that was amazing. And then you start thinking a little bit more about it, and you're like, well, I was stuck on this part. Oh, this part maybe was a little bit rough around the edges. Or maybe this... So I ended up landing on a side quest for this one, but it's a very strong side quest. It's one of those ones where it's like teetering. I could see like one of you guys playing this game and putting it on a main quest easily. But for me, the friction of like the little finicky puzzle mechanics that like I just used the example of getting the momentum and getting up on a higher ledge as one of them to not spoil too many of the mechanics, because that's kind of the fun of this game, is discovering the new features and stuff as they unlock. There are parts where I was just like beating my head against the wall a little bit against those mechanics. So I think go that knowing in that it's not like this finely tuned, like perfect game, which what game is. but those little like grimy areas or things that are a little bit rough to get past are worth it because the game itself is just so creative and so unique. So solid little game on the side quest. Ugly. Check it out.
Excellent.
To close this out, so you said it's a strong side quest. Came out 2023. Yeah. Since I'm goatee brained right now, do you think this would have made your game of the year list in 2023?
Maybe it would be. I don't. It would be on the list, like the top 10, maybe. I don't think it would make like number 1 or 2. It'd be like a lower tier, like all somewhere around there. Like, yeah,
below the fold kind of game. Those
below
are still
the fold.
Good.
Yeah. And
right.
and like I said, I feel like this one will hit people differently depending on how you feel about the mechanics and how you feel how it plays, and the like perspective, how zoomed out it is, and like I said, some of the little like rougher areas probably won't bother people as much as they did me. And honestly, they didn't bother me that much. It's just there was enough of them to where I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a side quest. This is just ekes it out just a little bit that direction. So yeah.
Trailer sure looks good though.
It does. Yes. I've watched it a bunch of times, and we'll be playing it at some point.
Yeah, all three of you guys would love this game. Like,
I can just tell.
Yeah, side quests are good games, Yeah,
for sure.
Well, mine isn't going to take too terribly long, so why don't I go, and then we'll let Top unleash,
sure.
And then we'll we gotta close with the strongest one. It's like we're all the opening bands, and then we close with the headliner that is Seth.
I didn't know we were closing with Top, but okay.
Come on now.
Ooh, hey, maybe we'll do it. You never know. But mine will be fast. I had to Google, and by Google I mean Control F on the quest log so many times because I could have swear I've already brought this game, but apparently I have not. I must have just talked about it on this show at some point, or maybe I just talked about it on Polykill. But I'm going to be discussing with you all today, of course, a puzzle game from my boy Top. Yay. Cipher 0.
Okay.
So,
I feel like I have seen this one on your Steam. Looking at friend activities, seeing this one come up. Yeah. Okay. I'm excited to hear about it.
So,
I think you talked about it on Polykill.
Okay, good. Top, have you heard of this game before, or just maybe through Polykill?
Yeah, not before or since, actually.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, Cipher 0. It is developed and self-published by a developer called Zapdot. Released July 22nd, 2025. So, go to contender. And I believe it is only available on PC. I might learn in the 11th hour it's available on mobile, but as far as I know, it's only available on PC. The reason this game is going to be relatively quick to describe is because I can provide you setup, and then I can provide you little else. And not in like a, sometimes we bring a Koi Boy's favorite game, right? Like sometimes we're talking about an Inscription or a Tunic or an Animal Well, where I'm like, it's really good. You should just trust me and go turn the episode off. It's not that. It's just that like, it's like a puzzle game. It'd be like kind of like if I was describing to you like a book of Sudoku puzzles. It's like I can only tell you so much before you go do it yourself.
It gives me a little bit just based on a little bit that I've seen of the puzzle so far. It gives me like asymmetric escape vibes.
Oh,
like the squares. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's very true. Man,
it's giving me
that's actually a really
without the walking around.
So
just puzzle boards.
Top hit it on the nose because that's the thing that people will actually relate to. Seth, thankfully, is comparing it to a game that is probably even more obscure than this one, which I love. But it is part of IndieQuest's canon, so it makes sense. But yes, the like 1,000-foot view. If ugly is Braid with trauma, Cipher 0 is The Witness, but you can't walk around the island. So it's interesting in some ways because I feel like often in discussions or reviews of The Witness, you will hear people utter the phrase, it would have been fine if it was just the puzzles. Like, I didn't need to walk around from puzzle to puzzle. I could have just done the puzzles. The island was not what I was there for. Now, obviously, if you played The Witness, I think there's a pretty compelling case that is not true, but I'm not going to You're not here for the witness. You don't get the witness out of me. I just use it for a point of comparison to move on. But the puzzle style is similar to the witness, mostly in that it's like a straightforward grid that you're just looking head on straight at. The actual like interaction with those puzzles it's not like drawing a line like in the witness. Instead, it's a grid of tiles, and it's not always in like a perfect square. You know, sometimes it is, sometimes it's in like a weird oblong shape. Sometimes the tiles are actually other shapes like hexagons and stuff, but it's in some sort of pattern, some number of tiles in some sort of pattern. And then around or within those tiles will be various symbols, maybe a little dot, maybe a little tick mark, you know, maybe a little triangle, something like that. Just symbols. And they denote something, because this is very similar to the witness and the witness's loop. It's a logic puzzler where the rules are never explained to you. There is not a drop of text in this entire game. Like, you click start game, you will be delivered no story. You will be given no hints. You will be given no tutorial. You are just dropped into increasingly difficult puzzles that will hopefully teach you the rules of how you interact with that shape, and then move on. So I'll give you like a really early example of one that is very straightforward. You know, I think this is even like the very first set of puzzles. You maybe have like a tick mark above a column in the grid, and you, after like first being introduced to a 2x2 and then a 3x3 with varying numbers of ticks in different formations, you just kind of naturally work out through experimentation. Okay, a tick denotes that I need to have that many lit up tiles in that column. So you click, if there's 2 ticks, you click 2 tiles in that column to light them up. It does its little check to make sure that all the logic works, and then you move on to the next puzzle. And then, of course, those start to get more complex. You know, the scale of the grid start to get bigger. It starts to be a little harder to just like immediately intuit. And then they start introducing other different mechanics that have other rules. And then, of course, they start combining those mechanics together so that you need to be considering multiple different rule sets simultaneously that all need to be met in order for you to move on to the puzzle. Thankfully, they're kind of kind to you in that when you succeed in a puzzle, it does this nice little like do 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 do, a very satisfying little like Pavlov bell. You're like, a little visual treat for me. And if you're wrong, it'll just very quickly go like, bzz, and it'll just show you that you're wrong. So it's not, you don't get too much, whiplash or too much hope lash from having failed a puzzle. But that is genuinely the entirety of the game. Now, like I said, sometimes the grids change. So, most of the game you'll be doing like square-based tile grids, lighting on or turning off various ones. Sometimes they'll mix it up and they'll be like hexagons. So you need to sort of like rethink how like the rules might interact with a different shaped piece and stuff like that. But the logic of the rules that you've learned still makes sense. Sometimes they'll mix it up in a couple other interesting ways, which is neat, that I don't really want to spoil for people. But there really are no other mechanics. Like, importantly, I guess the one other mechanic is that you can right-click on the mouse on any given square to basically place like a Minesweeper flag on it. You can mark a tile in one of 3 different colors. And that's just like your note-keeping way of saying like, hey, I know that these 5 for sure have to be lit up. Let me go work out this other part of the puzzle, and then I'll come back before I actually turn them on. So you do have like a little bit of tracking in that regard, but you do not have any hint system at all. The game is completely without any hint system, and the puzzles are in a very strict linear order. It's just puzzle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through to the end of the game. Which means if you get stuck on a puzzle, you essentially have no mechanism through which to push through that. You will just sit there and you will stare at that puzzle until you solve it, or until you no longer play Cipher 0 again. And
well, which happened for you? That was one of my questions. Is Did you complete it, and did you go outside of the game to progress in the game?
The answer is
no judgment,
yes,
by the way.
Yes, no, and. So my experience with Cipher 0 was that I played several, like the day I got it, and then like the 3 days afterwards, I was like, go. I gobbled it up because this is my kind of puzzler. Like The Witness was one of my top 10 games of the 2010s. Like I absolutely love games like this. So when this came out, I was like, oh yes, let's go, yum yum yum. And I burned through a bunch of it, and then eventually I got stuck on a puzzle that I couldn't figure out, and that just kind of like naturally distracted me from the game. I never finished it. I moved on to other things. I was in like the second to last set of levels, I think. And then several months later, I came back to the game and I was like, I'm going to do it. And I worked my way through that puzzle. But then, man, the game, like, it wore me down, not in like a necessarily negative way, but the puzzles towards the end start getting so complex and layering so many systems together that I would spend like literally an hour on a single puzzle. Like imagine spending like an hour on a single panel in The Witness, and this is a game with like 300 plus puzzles in it. So I would spend like an hour, finally work it out, and then like, you know, you get like the 2-second ding, the little reward, and then it moves on to the next puzzle, which is slightly bigger and slightly more complex than the one that you just solved, and you're like, good. It's like if you finish the Sunday Times crossword and then it flips the page and there's a 2x size Sunday Times crossword to solve. You're just like, my God. So I wanted to see it through to the end because it has a vibe to it. It doesn't have a story, but the panels themselves, the puzzles are pretty straightforward. Like they look nice, but they're kind of just like in a dark void. But the level select is like these gorgeous, surreal, like watercolor worlds, and it's got this kind of like almost apocalyptic energy where there's like distortions or like things are like breaking apart and shattering in a strange way. Seth, I see that you must be looking at screenshots of it.
Yeah.
To me, this might be more so than maybe any other game that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Why did they absolutely did not need to do this, like this amazing gorgeous background art that has nothing to do with the game at all. It's just like, hey, I'm an artist, but I also love puzzle games, and I'm going to just put those two together. I don't know how to actually put them together. Yeah. They're going to be separate. It's wild.
Yes. It's like, did you do the art for some other reason? And then you're just like, well, I'm making my puzzle game, you know? Because it's this incredible, like, long, gorgeous, like, cubic, like, watercolor, just, like, cityscapes, landscapes, etc. And then you go into a puzzle and like they desaturate and go black and white in the background, and so you almost are never looking at them. But the game has just like this energy to it where I wanted to see what was next, and I was like, maybe there's going to be something, you know? I can say, at least to my understanding, this is not the case, but like it also just gave me the energy of like, I felt like at some point I was going to unlock like another layer to like, I was going to be able to interact with the backgrounds at some point, or like click on something that was going to like reveal to me why these backgrounds were so gorgeous. And so I was like, I just got to see it through to the end to know if this is the totality of the thing or if there's more. So I really, really wanted to see it through. So back to my original answer to your question, Top. I come back to the game several months later. I spend an hour on a puzzle, 45 minutes on another, an hour on a puzzle, 2 hours on a puzzle. I spent an hour on a puzzle one day, couldn't get it, came back the next day, spent an hour and a half on it. And then I was like...
That's a whole game.
I was doing the math at that point after like 3 puzzles of an hour plus. And I was like, this is going to be... I'm going to spend more time in Cipher 0 than I spent in Clair Obscur if I keep at this pace. And so I went to find... I caved and I said, all right, I'm going to YouTube. I'm looking up puzzle solutions. And then there was nothing. Again, this is not a well-loved game, and I was playing it pretty early. It has 100 reviews on Steam. There was no walkthroughs. There was no Let's Plays of this game. But after enough digging, I finally found one Japanese legend on Nico Nico videos that played through this game. And so what I started doing is I had the Nico Nico video up on one monitor. I'd go in, I'd give myself 10 minutes of puzzle. If after 10 minutes I felt like I was making no progress, I followed my boy's clicks and we moved on to the next one. There were certain mechanics that I really enjoyed. So by the end, you've been introduced to probably 10 different mechanics. Puzzles in the last run, when they would introduce like the one or two mechanics that I really found fun, I would almost always work out myself, but those also tended to be the easier ones. Maybe I liked them because they were easier because I'm a tiny baby who shakes rattles while he plays games. But all the same, I ended up basically following a guide for the last run of the worlds or the last world essentially, because I was not smart enough. I got bodied by it. It was too much. It reminded me a lot of Patrick's Parabox, where like towards the end, I feel like if you didn't, go to school and get your master's in Patrick's Parabox, then you are no longer going to be able to solve the puzzles. But
Man,
Patrick's Parabox has other mechanisms through which to help you a little more than this game does. This game is truly like solve it or go broke trying. It is what it is.
So my question for you on this one, is there any hint system at all? Like I forgot to mention, Ugly has a really nice hint system that kind of just like very subtle, like, hey, maybe try this, things in there. So is anything like that in this game?
The only hint system is the guy on Nico Nico video who played the game.
There you go.
There's nothing at all in the game, at least not that I found. God, if there was something and there was a button I never clicked, I'm so sorry to ZapDot, but no, I don't think there's any hint system in the game whatsoever. There's kind of sort of what you could maybe consider a hint system in that, let's say that the puzzle has 3 mechanics. So it has like some ticks, some dots, and some little triangles, as I mentioned. When I mentioned that the game does this little like pop, like that little animation that it plays when you succeed in a puzzle, all those do-do-do-do-dos is the game is like highlighting every single symbol on the puzzle and like flashing it a color, whatever the color of that zone is. And it'll do that on all of them that you succeeded on until you failed on one. So you will be able to, when you like click submit on a solution, you will be able to see, I satisfied these 4 symbols, but I failed to satisfy this symbol. So sometimes that lets you know you're on the right path and you may be like, maybe this side of the grid is good, but you need to do a little manipulation down here. But that can really, you can have a solution that is 1 tile off that satisfies everything but one, or you can satisfy everything but 1 symbol, and in order to get the solution right, you need to like completely undo and completely reconfigure from what you had. So it's not always
nice.
It doesn't always give you a hint, but it at least tells you if you're on the right track sometimes.
Is there a soundtrack to this game also? That was my other question.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Really great, like vibey, atmospheric soundtrack. Like very good soundtrack in this game. Definitely like some like lo-fi electronic beats to puzzle to. Very relaxing, fun, atmosphere, kind of moody. It's my kind of soundtrack. It has like a little bit of Tunic energy, a little Citizen Sleeper energy to it. It was really good. It's definitely one that I should look up and see if it's on Bandcamp or something, because I would for sure add this as like relaxing work music that's not too distracting, or as like it would make good backing to like YouTube videos that I make. So
you can buy it on Steam for $8. There you go.
There you go. So
Nice.
Please do check it out, people. Yeah. What other questions, if any, do we have about Cipher Zero?
Real minimal question. You go ahead. Go ahead, Seth.
I was just going to ask, once you watched the video, Steve, would it get to a point most of the time where you're like, oh, duh? Or were you just like, ding, 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 move on? I don't have any idea why that was the answer.
That's a good question.
It's actually kind of neither of those. I would say that it's more like at some point I was so mentally overloaded that the idea of like a fresh, unsolved puzzle was like exhausting to even start. And so it's not like I was overlooking one obvious solution, but because by then I understood what all the symbols meant, like I was never like, oh, that's it. It was just more like, okay, I would have had to have worked that out eventually, but I just didn't. It is, I believe, like the rules are consistent and they are good and they're well crafted. In fact, some of them are even borrowed directly from The Witness. So like if you've played The Witness, you have a tiny leg up in some instances because you're like, oh, I see a Tetramino. I have an idea of what I'm going to need to do with those. But it's still, I think that you can always get the solution correct the first time. I don't think you have to ever do trial and error, but sometimes it's just easier to do trial and error because you're like, let me solve half of it, see what it clears and what it doesn't, and then build from there. So it's just like, it does get intense. And Top, you had a question too. What was it?
It's more or less like, do you have any other like logic deduction puzzle games that you have current experience with, a regular experience with? I'm pretty sure we all played some Sudoku, maybe some Picross. Are there any that you find in rotation, and how does this match up to some of those, if so?
That's a good question. I honestly should do more like Picross 3D or something like that in regular rotation. I would say that, like, even though I don't have one in rotation right now, games like that where, you know, you do like daily puzzles for a while, I feel like those tend to be a little more consistent in their difficulty. And I feel like most people that play Cipher Zero will play up to a point that they like no longer are willing to put in the mental energy, and they'll stop there. Now, you know, I don't want to say too much about it, but like, this is not a story heavy game, so there's not that strong of a need to see it all the way through. Like you're getting what you want out of it. You're getting, like, you know, the satisfaction of puzzle solving if you only play it 3/4 of the way through and stop. It's only really because, one, there's Steam achievements, and then two, I have another podcast that's about beating video games that I was like compelled to follow the Nico Nico guide through to the end. But it does, you don't need to think of it as like a linear game that you need to play through. You can just enjoy the puzzling of it all, and then once you're done and move on with your day.
Nice.
So all that, coming time to place it on the quest log, really like a game I quite enjoyed, but I do think that this is like kind of a classic side quest it's for puzzle fans. Like this is it's a harsh mistress. It's you will be given no allowances. It is, you are going to have to figure this out on your own. And I think I would wager, unless I'm dumber than I think I am, which is very possible, but I already think I'm quite dumb, that most people, a solid 80% of everyone that plays this game, will not reach the end naturally on their own because they will hit like some sort of fatigue. They will say like, it's too tired. You know, at some point it starts to, not this cryptic, but like, you know, it's like at some point I'm not going to figure out how to get all the rabbits in Animal Well on my own. You know, at some point I'm going to YouTube. It's that kind of thing. You know, the cost benefit analysis starts to skew in a different direction at a certain point.
Like, I could see playing this game when I'm not in a rush, and like,
yes,
you know, treating it almost like Wordle, or one of your favorite games a couple years ago now was Daily Observer, right? Where it's like that thing where it's like a daily thing. So I go and I do a puzzle. But I feel like, to your point, if my puzzles are taking 1+ hours to do, that doesn't even hardly feel daily. Like, that's like, if I have to come back to the same puzzle multiple times a day, or like I want to jump in and play for 10 to 15 minutes and get the puzzle right and then move on, not just sit there and stare at the screen forever.
Yes. And
turns into work at that point.
Yes.
It really does, yeah. And thankfully I didn't play this. Like, sometimes the hosts here choose a game and we're like, I really hope that I like this game and can see it all the way through, most of the way through, because I have time to play exactly this game before we record next. So sometimes you do get kind of in that, like, I need to finish this. Thankfully, that was not the case for me. I was able to set it down, bring other stuff, and come back. Again, I like hammering on the fact that it's difficult, but I also really want to hammer on the fact that the game is like gorgeous, very well presented, and a lot of fun, very satisfying. Like, it scratches the right part of your brain to figure these things out yourself, and like, it's always a good feeling when you can come up to new mechanics. And even though you've never seen these two mechanics together, your brain's like, I know both the rules, I understand intuitively exactly how to solve this puzzle, punch it in, boom, you get it. So there is like a lot to really love about the game at the same time. And I would definitely say that it's like a little bit of a sleeper for puzzle fans. People should definitely check it out. But if you played The Witness or games like it and you were like, that's a lot of damn grid puzzles, man, then Cipher 0, it's not going to be for you. Side quest, but a banger.
Nice.
Very
Witness,
cool.
another game that's not on the quest log, somehow.
What? How is that possible?
It's not. I don't think so. I don't remember either one of us bringing it. I played that, and I know Steve loves it as well. So, Seth, have you played The Witness, Seth?
I have not. I have never played it's just, I think it was the time period for me where maybe I wasn't playing as many indie games. It was certainly it came out before I was on the show.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how it went. But I feel like I've watched Steve on stream play, what's the spoof game of The Witness? The Looker or something?
The Looker.
Yeah, so I get it, I get like the point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny that you might be one of the only people in the world whose only experience with The Witness is The Looker. That is hilarious. Well, Top, buddy, what did you bring?
Oh my God, it's my turn. Oh God, be still my heart. All right, you guys are not going to believe this. I did not bring a puzzle game.
What?
No way.
What is that? He baited us. This is like when we brought on Briz for one game in particular, and then he didn't bring it. I love this. Let's hear it.
This is an old school platformer from a small Japanese startup. Have you guys ever heard of Super Mario Brothers?
Oh my God. It's like, they publish their own games. So
I was thinking, Cave Story, that's what I was thinking about anyway.
It's not indie enough for you? Not indie enough? Okay, fine. I'll bring a puzzle game then.
All right.
Okay. He is bringing
Okay.
That's funny. Baited.
You got her
twice.
ass.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So my game, it is over 10 years old. It's from the earlier indie days. In my mind, kind of 2008 was when they really started, that bubble started to grow. This is from a few years after that even. My game is called Ittle, and that is ITTLEDEW. It is a small game developed by Ludosity, and it was released originally in 2013. What this is, it is a Zelda-like puzzle game. I'm also going to have to be a little brief on my description, too, because the game isn't overwhelmingly large. So if I talk too much about it, I'll spoil most of what's there. But if you look at the trailers and such, my experience with this game, this is one of the standout games for the Ouya console. That's where I originally played it.
Ooh.
It's one of my two favorite Ouya games. The Ouya is an indie console all around. You guys should have a little more Ouya talk on IndieQuest. It is a premier indie micro console. But what it'll do is it starts off very much like Link's Awakening. You've got the two characters, and the game doesn't talk a whole lot. So we got the main adventurer. Her name is Ittle, and we have her little flying fox familiar who goes by Tipsy. Tipsy is always carrying around a little flask of what he calls health potion. So he's like always taking nips off his health potion. And his name is Tipsy, so you kind of get it. It's a very irreverent and self-aware kind of sense of humor. It's a very, very funny game. But you're out on a raft. Your raft breaks apart and you end up on this island, and you have to figure out how to get yourself off the island. So it's very much that Link's Awakening kind of thing that other games have done in the meantime, but this is one of the early ones that did it. As far as the presentation, like I said, we don't really meet these characters. We don't know who they are, but they are fully fledged all on their own. You learn their sensibilities right away through the dialogue and stuff. A lot of indie games kind of go for, at least a lot of the ones that I've played, kind of have a snarky sense of humor. There is some of that here, but none of it's like overbearing. To me, it's a very, very well written and funny game, and it picks its moments. It doesn't overwhelm you with jokes all the time. You just get a few here or there, and they hit harder for being so few, right? The graphics, it is a pixel art game. They describe it as beautiful, hand-drawn HD wobble graphics. So it's got a graphic style of pixel art, and it reminds me of the old Squiggle Vision shows, the old Lauren Bouchard shows like Dr. Katz or Science Court or Home Movies. So everything just kind of wiggles and squiggles, but not too much, but just enough to give a lot of life to the place that you're in.
Yeah, for anyone out there, like looking at screenshots, based on what Top just said, you are required to watch a trailer to understand that part, because I was looking at all the screenshots, just got to video when Top said it's the squiggle vision thing or whatever, and then you see it actually moving like that. It's like, oh, okay, it gives a very unique, specific uniqueness to this game that you don't just get from looking at screenshots. So
I'm really sad about, they made a sequel. I have the sequel. I haven't played the sequel yet, but the sequel switched to polygons instead. So that feels like a loss to me, because this game just looks so good in its stylings. Very, very vibrant, very good looking, and very obvious, kind of a Zelda-like. I mean, it looks like it's trying to do that, right? From the beginning, all you have on when you start on the island is a stick. All you have is a stick. It is a puzzle game. As far as you're doing Zelda-esque dungeons, very generally pretty small dungeons. There is combat, but it is not a combat-focused game. So, but you will have to smack around some of the island's inhabitants, to refill your health and things like that. So the loop is, you move forward, you find a shop, and the guy in the shop says, "I will build you a raft to get out of here, but you've got to go fetch the artifact from the castle." And you're like, okay, fine, whatever. And so you go up into the castle, but with your initial loadout, you can't get that far in this big castle. But you get far enough to earn enough money to go back to the shop and buy what will be your first item. Your first item, originally you have a stick. Your first item is going to be a fire sword. So before you get the fire sword, you've got to set fire to like lanterns and things like that. And the way you would do that would be to go catch your stick on fire and run over to the lantern before your fire runs out. But you're really gated by where you can go, because there's not always fire everywhere. So once you go back to the item guy and said, okay, I'm going to buy the fire sword, he boots you off to another part of the island where you have to do puzzles, earn the fire sword, come back, and now you can go back to the castle with, your next bit of loadout, and that opens up the castle a little bit more. Okay. And that's kind of what the loop is. So you go further into the castle. You only earn 3 items across the entire playthrough. So, but where the fun is the interplay between how all the items work together. So after the fire sword, you get what is called a portal wand. It's similar to an item in A Link to the Past, where it'll actually create a block. I've mentioned the puzzles before. There's a lot of like block pushing and trying to weight down floor plates and things like that. The very first time I played it, what I found the most overwhelming was, like, I felt like every time I turned around, the game served me up a situation where I needed 4 items to weigh down plates but the game only gave me 2. So I was always pulling my hair out because, like, Nintendo will give you 4 items. Like, it's going to be very straightforward in other video games. But on this one, you've got to figure out how to do it with less. And that's it. And it's always possible, but it's never intuitive how you're supposed to do it. And that's what I appreciate so much about it. So eventually you get this portal one and you can create blocks. It also will allow you to, the portal part of the wand is once you place a block, if you hit an item with the projectile, it'll swap places with the block that you placed. So that gives you some positioning as far as getting things where you need them to be. And then eventually you'll get an ice wand as well. And any one of these items, they're like, it doesn't seem like it's going to open up a whole lot, but they just have a lot of very, very interesting interplay with how all these items are used together. Early on in the game, it does a good job of not holding your hand. It'll signpost minimally to say, like, you will need fire to get through this area. So if you don't have that, you'll know not to keep trying to, beating your head against this puzzle because it's just not going to work out. But that kind of signposting is fairly minimum. So you'll constantly get in a room and that you don't feel like you have everything you need to solve it, right? So you'll have to try to go elsewhere. But sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. I'm coming at the end of the game with every item, and I'm still struggling to figure out how to solve some of these puzzles with everything the game has to offer. So another thing that it's kind of hard to explain. The game doesn't stick in my mind that well. So even though if I solved this room yesterday, if I come to it again today, it's not like I'm going to remember the solution. I just got to solve it again.
Yeah.
It's kind of a
some
strange
games are just
thing.
like that. I don't know what it is. I've had that experience in other games too, where you're like it's kind of like, why am I not learning the lesson? Or it's more just like, it's like, maybe this is reductive, but it's like junk food. It's like empty calories where you're like, all right, I solved that puzzle. The fries went into my belly. All right, move on. But like, I didn't get any protein from it.
It really is the way they set up, like where the items are and where the things you need to go are. It sets it up in a way to mislead you, I guess is what I would say. Like you may go into a room where there's 4 floor plates and 4 blocks, but like all 4 blocks are grouped together, so you can't move any of them. So like in that instance, the solution is you've got to destroy one of the blocks. But like that's the most counterintuitive thing. When you see 4 floor plates and 4 blocks, you're not immediately thinking, yeah, destroy one of these. But anywho, like I said, but it is a pretty small game. Both times that I beat it way back closer to when it was new. And then I beat it again earlier this year, only in about 3.5 hours, both times. The game is built for replayability, though. I'm not there. There are communities that know more about this game than me. I have only beaten it twice, but they designed it for sequence breaking and speedrunning. So you can get 3 items, but apparently it's possible to beat the game with any combination of 2 items. I don't know how you can do that. I haven't figured that out. And furthermore, you'll find several portions, and it is signposted where it'll say like professional shortcut. And what that means is this puzzle is extremely difficult to figure out, but if you can go through this door that will let you bypass some of the other rooms, right? Well, apparently if you string enough of those professional shortcuts together, the speedrun goal of this game is less than 15 minutes. I don't see it. Like I can't wrap my head around how that would work. Because like I said, 2 times, 3.5 hours each. Yeah, I guess I'm not professional enough for the professional shortcuts. There's some like optional content through the game too. I tried to do some of that on my second playthrough, which was earlier this year. I didn't get all of it done, so I'm kind of committed to doing a third playthrough where I try to solve all the optional contents. I'm not much into the speedrunning thing myself, so I'm not sure that I will go for that. But even though the game is pretty short, like I said, it is conceived and built, with speedrunning in mind. So there are a few boss battles, but like I said, the combat is pretty simple, and it's not really the point of the game, but there are a few boss battles you'll have to deal with, and those are fine. The music is fine. It's extremely comfortable. It's nothing that I would necessarily remember after the game, though. It's extremely well-fitting to the game, but I don't really know that I can even come up with a melody that, after playing it, that was in there. But the sound design is really good. The way everything pops and beeps and bops with all the moves that you make, I really like the sound design. It's very, very catchy. But other than that, I think I covered a lot of it. Any questions on that?
I have a comment. I'll say this
Please.
is very much one of those ones where, like, you look at it and you're like, oh, this looks like some Flash game. But then when you see, I urge people to go see a trailer for it, because it really, once it comes to life, it really has such a unique energy and look to it that, of course, like I said, when you look at it, you're like, this is a Flash game. Because I've seen this game, like the thumbnail, and I've seen like screenshots of this, like, in passing on Steam, and I was like, I didn't really look at it twice. But no, really, go in there, look at the trailer, and look at it a second time, because it really does have a unique flair to it that I really appreciate.
Yeah, totally different in motion. It looks starkly different when you're actually playing the game. So it's worth watching at least a clip of it.
I wanted to bring it specifically because I feel like part of my mission is to just bring attention to games that I love, and this is a very, very good puzzle game. I'm constantly taken aback at how intelligently designed some of the puzzles are, and then when I have those aha moments, it's like, oh my gosh, how did they think of this?
I have not played this one, but I actually have played the sequel, and
Yep.
a lot of what you're saying rings true to my memory of the second one. Now, granted, I played it in like 2018, so the memory is pretty hazy at this point, but I think that you will probably have a lot to love when you get around to the sequel too.
Yeah, I've got it physically for the Switch, so I am looking forward to getting into it. I do have a sad story related to this game. So I'll try not to take up too much time, but earlier this year I got a Switch 2, and to add it into my living room setup, something had to go. And I decided, well, I guess it's time to pull the Ouya off the shelf, and so that the Switch 2 can go there instead. And so I was like, well, before I put it away, let me play it a little bit. So that's how I beat it. It'll do earlier this year. And then in prep for this show, I wanted to play some more of it, and I booted it up. I was playing it. I quit out, and my Ouya went back to the initial setup screen, which I cannot currently go past.
No.
So, I know. I think there are workarounds that I can deal with, and I think I can get there, but all I did was quit the game, and now suddenly I am locked out of all of my Ouya content. It's like, oh my God.
Oh, no.
So sad news for me.
Most people listening will be like, it's okay, man, it's an Ouya, but I'm telling you all, for TopSpot, that's a big deal. All right, this is a loss for my guy.
So so yeah, I had already purchased the game, but it used to be on the Wii U eShop. It is currently on the Switch eShop. It's available on Steam, but it's one of the rare examples where it's the price is twice as much on Steam as it is on the Switch eShop, which is kind of strange. But and there was a mobile version, which actually I played a lot of over this weekend just to make sure I knew a little bit of what I was talking about, because it had been several months since I played it last. So I have been playing it on my phone as well, but I don't really recommend the mobile version. It's currently delisted anyway, so you won't happen across it. But yeah, it's much better with a controller and up on the big screen. So
makes sense.
Yeah,
awesome.
So,
cool.
Yep, one of my favorites from the lost time.
Yeah, where would you like to put it on the quest log today? That's my question for you.
That is a good question. Well, I'll tell you what. So, you can't really judge a game in a vacuum, right? If this podcast existed in 2013, this is probably main quest all the way. But games are so good now, guys. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
There are so many indie games and so many indie games that do so much. This is I won't say it's simple, but it doesn't reinvent the wheel. It just does what it does very, very well, right? But it's not something that, you know, has created something that you've never seen before. It's just using existing elements in an extremely good way. So for me personally, it's main quest. It is a game that I love, but I think for most people, this sits a lot more comfortably as a side quest.
It's always impressive to me when a guest has the strength of character to bring a side quest. All right, it's hard not to just bring your favorite game of all time and place it on the main quest. That's a man of integrity.
I almost did.
Yeah.
I almost did.
Yeah, but you didn't, and so you still get the credit.
I think it's great whenever any of us, including Top, go back and play a game that's 10 plus years old. And kind of to like Top's last statement, he's like, if I were to compare it to things back then, it is different than comparing it to things now, right? Like, I like to look at that because there are games like Fez or Super Meat Boy that still compare very favorably, but then there's the Ittle of the world where it's like, well, that's been done maybe even a little bit better since then, right? Which is cool. I like to learn about.
I also
these
see in
games
Sky probably does this even better, you know.
Yeah,
and it's a lot more enriched in what it does. I haven't played it yet, but just my understanding of it is it is It'll do, but like on steroids, right? So it's like I got to be, honest about it.
Cool. Yeah, and there's so many games on the side quest where I'm like, that's a main quest for me, So that's even great to hear that to you, like in your heart, you would say, oh yeah, this is main quest. I love this game. But
I mean, I love it.
Obviously, we're
genuinely love it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's the beauty of the list.
That's right.
All right. Well,
Seth's
I
turn.
think that will take us to the last one here. So
take us home, Daddy.
Josh. Will do, son. Will do. Josh actually buried the lead slightly if you were paying attention earlier, and if it didn't get edited out, which it's possible that it did, but we'll see. We all, meaning myself, Steve, and Josh, actually own the game that I am bringing today, and I'm willing to bet that Top will also own this game by the time we're done recording.
Yep.
That game is, and it's funny because it's actually not a very, it did just release, so give it some time, I suppose, but it's not a very popular game according to Steam so far, but I think that hopefully we can get the word out a little bit here. But that game is Motionrec. So, I know that the boys have seen Motionrec. Top, have you heard of this game at all?
I have not seen it. I feel like I've heard the name, though. I think it's gotten tossed around somewhere.
Yeah, it's like Motion REC for audio listeners. So, yeah.
Yep. Like record, because that is what you're doing in this game. So, Motionrec released this year, October 27th, 2025. It was developed by Handsome, as in handsome, like, oh, you're a handsome fella, but also not spelled that way. SUM is like some, as in addition, right? So, published by Playism, which I can't remember if they did Exit 8, but they definitely published Platform 8. So, I think they do a lot of publishing for Japanese indie games. And I didn't do the research, like we never do, or specifically I shouldn't lump us all in. But I did not do the proper research to know whether this was Japanese developed. The only thing I will say is there was a lot of kanji at the end, and also the credits are sung in Japanese. So I'm assuming that it is.
It is, yeah. It was actually recently, I know that because it was on a Japan developer-focused State of Play, because this game is coming to PlayStation early next year. Also, to loop it all together, Playism is a pretty big publisher. Like, set of a lot of Japanese developers. They published at least the Steam version of Ib, which was on a couple episodes ago with PewDiePie. So,
heck yeah. All right, so Motionrec. Oftentimes, I will like to do a big old genre soup for games, but Motionrec, I don't have enough to really call it genre soup. It's more of a genre stew because there's only a couple elements really, and that is it is a retro puzzle platformer with I don't even know exactly what to call it. I called it time mechanics, but there's a recording mechanic where your character records themselves and then is able to use their recording in other areas. So it's honestly not too dissimilar to Ugly, really. Like it is different certainly, but it's around the same, I guess, idea. So we'll get into that more as we get to the gameplay, of course. But presentation, you guys are looking at it. It's a 16-bit game. It is not too different from other 16-bit indies that you've probably seen before, except for it is almost entirely in black and white, which
it's like Minute.
Right. It is like Minute. Yes.
I was going to say
Yes.
Gato Roboto.
Gato
Roboto,
yes.
yeah. Some people call that style where it's like very limited color palettes. They call it 1-bit style. I've heard recently on some podcasts.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's like a thing, but I've heard it recently. So yeah.
In terms of color, it is very simple in most cases, but also the graphical style is extremely striking. Like the pixel art used is amazing. There are times in this game where I would be going through my puzzles, I would do my screen, finish it, and then I'm going on to the next one. And it reminds me a little bit of Steve's game in that sometimes there are just little pockets, little areas that you can walk through that do nothing. It's literally just like a hallway that you're walking to your next area, but they give you like this amazing pixel art to look at while you're going. And I would just stop sometimes and just stare like, man, most people, not most, I shouldn't say, but a lot of people who play this game are just going to walk right by that and go to the next thing. And they put real time and effort into a lot of the art in this game. So very much appreciate everything that it is doing in that way. So the only time that black and white isn't used is when you are actually doing the recording, right? So when your character, your little robot character, records, you can see the recording in red little sprites of your character as they move along. And then when you actually play that recording, you will be able to see green little sprites of your character going out, right? So to put it extremely simply, before we get to in-depth gameplay, if I hold down, I can't remember exactly which trigger it is, but there's, of course, L2 and R2, and you hold one of them down to record, and if I'm walking straight ahead, my little robot guy will record himself walking 3 inches, let's say, on my screen. And then I can replay that, meaning I will just do that exact same motion and walk wherever that is. Even if there is a pit, right, I will be able to actually walk across that pit. And that is kind of the idea of what you're doing here. And the reason I related it to Ugly is because I think that kind of works similarly in that you use the reflection of your character on the other side of the screen to do things that they wouldn't be able to do if it wasn't for the other side doing it, right? That's what
a
you're using that
temporal
recording
reflection.
for. Sure. I'm not smart enough, Top. But yes.
Yes, you are.
Before we get in depth, though, I'm going to get to music. It is a fantastic soundtrack. Chiptunes with flair is kind of what I call it. It's got that, like, it is kind of the chiptune goodness you've heard before, but it has some distortion in the background, some staticky, almost like it's being played over a radio at times, which is very cool. For the most part, though, it's a toe tapper from beginning to end. Every new area that I got to go to that had new music, I was like, oh, this is sick. Oh, this is sick. Like, it's all very good, right? Unfortunately, Josh usually finds this. I don't know if you can purchase the soundtrack. You can. You can buy the soundtrack for $7 on Steam. So if you want to listen to this soundtrack, you can go there and do that. I did check earlier today to see if it was on YouTube. It is not. So as of now, the only way to listen to it is through purchasing it on Steam. Story. So as with a lot of these games, I think there's not a whole lot of story. It's mostly what you make of it with some of the imagery. I will say that I think there is pretty serious effort to kind of put some sort of twist on like an environmentalism element based on the things that you're seeing, especially towards the end. And I won't spoil anything, but things happen towards the end of the game that put everything into a little bit more light. I very much enjoy when these games give you a little bit of a payoff in that way, where you're going through this kind of dreary world and then you start to see some light towards the end. But hopefully people out there will experience it, because I think that was honestly one of the best parts about this game, is going through it, struggling at times, then getting to like this nice little payoff at the end. But now we are on to gameplay proper. So kind of already explained what you're doing. To expound upon that, there are, I mean, of course, at the beginning, it shows you, hey, walk forward, record it. All right, use that walking animation to then go across a hole. Good job, you did it. Well, you use that in a lot more ways as you go. Maybe you have to get to a very high height, right? And there's no way to get up there, but you see a hole in the ceiling. And it's like, okay, that's the only place I can go, so I need to find out a way to get up there. Well, perhaps that hole is on the right side of the screen and you're on the left side of the screen. You can walk over there, you can see up the hole, but there's nothing you can do. Well, on the left side, you see that there is like some platforms that you can actually jump up, because you can jump very, very little, but it's like one tile basically that your character can jump, maybe two. So you can jump up. So if I decide to record myself jumping up, then I can maybe go over to the other side and use that up recording to get up the rest of the way, right? So very often you're looking around the level, around the screen to see, hey, what can I do here? It gets a lot more, I wouldn't say intense. I don't think this game ever gets incredibly challenging, although I will mention one point that I got quite stuck. But in general, it doesn't do a lot that's going to completely destroy your brain and make it so you don't understand what you're supposed to do. But it uses that element in a variety of ways. And if you watch the trailer or if you see some screenshots, there are platforms that you can use that are going up and down, and you might be able to walk back and forth on those platforms as they're moving, which is going to give you like a wavelength type thing. Or you might see a platform that's rotating in a circle, and you can put your character on that and record as you're going around. You'll be able to actually see the recording, and then you can utilize that circle somewhere else, right? So a lot of that fairly simple concept for the most part, but I think it is executed extremely, extremely well, to the point where, honestly, this is certainly up there in terms of puzzle games of its ilk that I have played. It is very good. So in terms of what are you trying to do, or what's the point other than the puzzle, you're obviously platforming through these different like little miniature levels or worlds. The overarching thing that you're trying to do is seemingly you're trying to escape this area that you're in. It seems like you're one of few robots left in this area, and you need to try to get out. You see some quote unquote enemies at times. You don't fight. There's no real combat, but you do have to evade certain things at certain points. But for the most part, you're just trying to get out. A secondary part of that, though, is every once in a while you see music notes, and you will try to collect those music notes. Very Celeste style in that
Strawberries.
way. They're
say.
like strawberries. Yes. Yeah. Except for in Celeste, the strawberries are very much like, oh, cool, you did it. And I'll be honest, Josh, you can correct me here because I've never collected all the strawberries, but obviously you do get some sort of unlocks with them.
Yeah,
but for the most part, it's like, I feel good. Yep.
Yeah, you feel good, and then if you collect enough, you can unlock B-sides and then C-sides later on with if you get this other secrets and stuff, which are the harder stages of that game. So, yeah.
Yeah. So in Motionrec, you need a certain amount of notes to even get past certain areas to like make it to the next level. So it'll be like, hey, do you have 40? Okay, you can unlock this checkpoint or this door, right? In that way, it's sort of gated, I suppose. Now you can keep going. If you don't have 40, then you're going to have to go back and collect some notes. So if you weren't paying super close attention, or you're like, I'm just trying to get through the game, I don't want to do the extra thing, well, you're going to have to do some of it. And a lot of them are very, hey, I landed at the end of the screen that I'm on. Okay, cool, I got the note. But there are a lot that you have to actually intuit a little bit more and think about how to get to them, right? As same way as in Celeste. Except for Celeste is much more platformer and less puzzle. And so I find this very interesting because of that, where it's like, I don't just need to jump there. I don't need to, it's not a hard jump over a couple pits and scale up a wall and get to the strawberry. It's like, I need to, how do I get to that note in such a way that I move around this level that's going to get me down there potentially, but then also back up on the, it's very interesting, I suppose, in that way. And I enjoyed it very much. I did not, or have not yet, collected all the notes, but there are 100 in this game, and I think there are achievements, of course, in this game as well. I'm missing one, and I believe that will lead me to get the 100. There was, at the very end of the game, a block that says, however many notes you have out of 100, you can unlock that door, go through there, and get something, right? I haven't done that yet. So I suppose I got the bad ending. I think there is a better ending than what I got. But the cool thing is you can go back to any level, and it will tell you how many notes you're missing, and you can go through it and get the notes as you wish. So certainly something that I'm absolutely going to do, because it is fun in a lot of ways, but it's also challenging to the brain, and it does all the right things, I suppose, right? So that will pretty comfortably lead me right into where I would probably place on the quest log. It is not an overly complex game, but it does what it does very well. Do you guys
I got questions first. I do have questions. First question is your recording mechanic. Does that change at all over the course of the game? Does the recording length change, or can you stack recordings, or does anything about that change from the beginning to the end?
As far as I could tell, it's good, very good point, Top, about the length. So when you record, there is a stamina bar, I suppose, over top of your character. If you're moving, that bar will go down. If you're standing still, that means you're not recording, and it's not going to do anything, right? It's like a cassette. There's like a lot of cassette imagery here, and that's like the point, I suppose, of like the recording. But so no, in that I don't think you get more of that bar as you play, and also you do not get to record twice in a row at any point, as far as I could tell.
Good deal.
So you have all the tools in the toolbox from the beginning, but really one of your tools is the environment that you're platforming on. You need that in order to achieve whatever you're trying to do. So in that way, and I'm sure other games have done this before, but I haven't played a game that's like this, so it was very unique and fresh for me to be. I am platforming through a level because it is a platformer, but also the platforming I'm doing, I need for the next part too, which is just really cool. So
it's cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome. The main puzzles you described, I'm looking at the Steam things as well. You know, they're pretty straightforward, but then I see somewhere you have to record yourself going up in a zigzag pattern in the right way so that it matches the next screen or whatever. And those kinds of things really break my brain. There's puzzles in like Box Boy games that do things like that, where you have to like substitute these weird patterns from this where you are to over here to make sure it all matches and fits. And tough but satisfying to do.
I will say that there's a few sections like this, and I should mention now that there was a screen, or I guess it was like a combination of screens, that I was stuck on for a good hour. I eventually got the answer and progressed, but holy crap, it took me a long time. And even after I got the answer, I was like, I'm glad I'm done, but I don't even know how I did that, honestly. So oftentimes you will see the shape, for example, that you need to make to do the thing, but you cannot, like, personally, I could not for the life of me figure out how to make that shape, but also, like, I need to make sure that I'm on the bottom of the shape and not the top of the shape,
right?
Based on the geometry of the level.
That's awesome.
There are also other parts where there are like teleportation circles or squares where you can walk through them and you can like go back and forth through different sections of the level by just walking through. And that means that I can either record through them to maybe walk further than I would otherwise be able to in the level, or I need to create a shape and then put that shape, the trajectory of that shape, into the actual teleportation that will get me to the other side of the level. Like, it does a lot of very smart, unique things like that. So
sweet.
I figured you were going to play this game, so I played about a few hours this weekend. I played like 2.5 hours. I got to the thing you were talking about that you have to evade. That's where I'm at. So I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, that was quote unquote boss. Yeah, so that's where I'm at, and so I'm playing Ugly, and of course I was like, okay, that game was good. I had a good time. There were some parts that frustrated me. This game, like, I just have a grin on my face the whole time. This game rules. Like, it's
awesome.
It's a banger. This is a banger. I think everybody should try this one for sure.
To give a sense of like the types of puzzle games, I just find this so entertaining. It's in a bundle right now with
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
And Ooh, which just so happen to both be other puzzle games that Seth has brought to the show. So you can buy a 3-pack of Seth main quest recommendations, I'm guessing.
Well, we don't know yet. I did. That is so funny. I scrolled right past that to look at the soundtrack. Didn't even pay attention. That is, I guess I have a type. I didn't know that.
So it would seem.
Wow, that's hilarious. I'm glad that Ooh, I think has gotten quite a bit of recognition. I think it's got around 1,000 Steam reviews, so it's pretty good. And most people think that, but I'm glad that Motionrec has been lumped in with those other two, because that tells me that while it only has it doesn't even have 200 Steam reviews yet. It's not been out for a month yet. Tells me that it probably will get there eventually, and hopefully it will get some. I mean, Playism's a big publisher, so I would imagine it'll get some press. But
I just put it on a PlayStation wish list for sure. So
heck yeah.
It's already
honestly,
on the store.
I'll probably play it again on PlayStation if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I'll forget enough by then, and it's short enough. It's about. Your mileage may vary with any puzzle game, of course, but it'll probably take you between 4 and 6-ish hours. It took me around 6, and like I said, I just sat on a puzzle for way longer than I probably should have. So, but yep. All right, that will lead me right to where I'm putting Motionrec on the quest log, and Steve already guessed it. Yes, it is definitely a main quest game, and it deserves to be a main quest game, to the point where we're talking about Kato and Ooh, right? Man, it would be tough for me to like rank those three. Like, they're all very good games. I was thinking about it specifically against Ooh this year, and
you just ranked them. They're all main quests. You just ranked them. That's specifically what you did.
Because at the end of the year in our GOTY stream, I'm going to have to rank at least Ooh and Motionrec in some form or fashion, right? To figure out which one's higher than the other. Ooh. They're both extremely, extremely good. Gosh. And it might be recency bias a little bit, but I think that I might like Motionrec even a little bit more. It's really, really good. It's also, in my opinion, just the right kind of unique. While it's pretty simple gameplay wise, but the gameplay in conjunction with the style is just chef's kiss. It's so good.
So far, those aha moments are like you tinker. It's a very much one of those games where you tinker a little bit, and then you see what you got to do, and you go, oh, and you're like, it just feels so good. That's the best puzzle game, right? That's what you want. So
it feels like we're closing a loop in some ways, because Top, I imagine you're going to love this game because it's very similar to Electhead, right?
Electhead, right? Yeah, it very,
simple,
very much
straightforward. It's one idea executed and iterated on really well. So
yeah, I'm glad to know about this game. So yeah, when it goes live on PlayStation, I'll be all over it.
Hell yeah,
awesome. That's Motionrec.
All right, well, that's our show today. we had 4 awesome games brought to the quest log. We got Ugly as a side quest brought by me. We got Cipher 0 from Steve, which is also a side quest. Did I say a quest log? A side quest. Both of those are side quests. I always mess this up. Anyway, Ittle do from our guest today, Top, which is a side quest but a main quest in his heart. And then we got Motionrec, which is a banger and on the main quest today. So that's man, that if somebody is looking for like some puzzle games, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these today. These all are going to be scratching a different type of puzzle game itch, but you're going to have a good time with it. So, well, we can plug stuff. We can plug ourselves today. Top, where can they find you on the internet?
Like I said, just search TopSpot123, all one word. Put that in any kind of search engine. You'll find something I made.
Heck yeah, I recommend it. I think I've seen every one of your videos. I'm sure there's one or two I haven't seen, but I love your videos.
I've seen them all too.
They're great.
Yeah.
A couple
Thank
times,
you,
right?
Josh. Yeah.
Anyway,
By the way, Josh, real quick.
Yeah.
You and I have talked online for like 6 or 7 or 8 years. This is almost literally the first time we've spoken to each other. I think we've done Discord Hangouts briefly, but like we weren't talking to each other. So it's great to know you. Thank you so much for asking me to aboard here. Glad to be able to chat it up with you. Maybe one day in person.
That's gonna happen. We're all gonna. I feel like at one point, all 4 of us will be in the same room. That's gonna happen. It has to happen, right? Yeah. So
you were the only missing piece when we all met Top. Top surprised the crap out of me at the door. I just happened to be close to the door when he showed up, and none of us knew he was coming to 2 Polycons ago. And I swear I thought he was like the pizza guy. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. And then I'm like, oh, it's Top. But how would I know it was Top? Like, we've never seen the guy.
We still don't know for sure that it was Top. I mean, the voices lined up, but like it could have been just like a great impersonator, someone that tracked the online presence.
It's like Trav's friend from high school or something. Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for our show today. You can find the show on Blue Sky, IndieQuest Pod. You can send us emails, IndieQuestPod@gmail.com. You can also text the show, which I know Go Hobo Go loves to do. That's in the description below. Steve, where can they find you on the internet?
Twitch, Blue Sky, Blinkum. That's Blink OOM. Seth, where do they find you?
Can find me on Blue Sky at Captain Drachma, and of course in the Polymedia Discord, best place on the internet. And if you want to get into that Discord, head on over to Patreon, search up Polymedia, get in that first tier, and come and chat with all of us, including Top. And it's a great time. Josh, where can I find you?
You can find me, Josh Leslie, my legal name, at Blue Sky. You can also find my other podcast about movies and entertainment I do with our buddy Scotch and Hobbies called The Monthly Mishap. It's a good time. Check it out. That's going to do it for our show. Top, why don't you close out the show with some good parting words for the folks out there?
All right. Well, definitely whatever you do before your days are done, play some indie games. They're worth it.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Give me the hell yeah. You sprinkled a little 13 onto my PG, Josh.
Yeah. I just started my recording. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Everyone recording?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm good.
Okay.
3, 2, 1,
go!
Nice.
Doesn't have to be perfect. As close as it's just to line it up. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm on like a teeny delay. It's not too bad, but I feel like there is like a 1-ish second delay. So if I talk over any of you, just tell me to kick rocks.
I will anyway.
I was trying to give like a really long pregnant pause just to throw you off even more. So. All right. Are you guys ready? We can get into this thing.
Yes.
I'm good.
All right, let's do it.